Welcome to Healing is Hilarious. I'm your host, Rachel LaForce. This is a podcast where personal development meets punchlines. Each week, I'm offering you my own lived experience and diving into topics like self-empowerment, authentic living, and learning how to listen to your inner knowing. Because after all, healing doesn't have to be heavy. It's hilarious. Welcome back to Healing is Hilarious. I'm your host, Rachel LaForce. Welcome. This is Lake Erie. This is the lakeside edition to Healing is Hilarious. And where to begin? We made our way through the reinvention series. And I should tell you that I really think out these episodes and I know weeks in advance. No. These episodes really kind of come in sometimes a day or two before I record them. But honestly, it's kind of like day of. It's almost like I just get a download and it's like, this is what you're talking about today. I'm like, awesome. Which means a lot of the time, I have not even fully lived my way through the experience. I'm really sharing in real time, which is so fun to go back and hear a full 4 episodes that you made and go, oh, great, that was for me. I didn't know that was full on for me. Obviously, I know that I'm sharing those things because I'm experiencing them. But I have now been at the lake 3 weeks. As I'm recording this, we're leaving tomorrow. So by the time you're hearing this, I am safely back home. And what I thought these 3 weeks were going to be for me, for my body, for my family, versus what these 3 weeks have been, is, dare I say, why I do this work. When I say healing is hilarious, the conversations that I had to be a part of, lead, or be privy to by someone else being like, hey, this is like a new boundary, or this is what's happening, or whatever, was not what I signed up for. For my vacation, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have 3 weeks. I'm going to relax. This is going to be so nice. And so I share that with you to tell you a little bit about me, that your girl's just gotten rocked the last 3 weeks. And also, it's interesting that the more we do this work, it really is cyclical in that way, right? I want to get a seashell tattoo, which feels like so trendy, but just mostly for the spiral, because as painful as the last 3 weeks have been, and I've had to get honest about a lot of things that I haven't wanted to be honest about, or have been too scary to confront, or, grief as it is, there was a level of intelligence, there was a level of sacredness, there was a level of grace that I've been able to hold myself and the others around me as I've gone through this over the last 3 weeks. Cause I'm like, oh bitch, we've been here before. Okay. We have done this and it sucks. But I'm like, this is what happens whether you took the side quest, the divine will be like, oh, go do this thing. And then you're like, oh, I'll diligently do that thing. And then it's going to lead me to and you're like, are y'all kidding me? You had me go and do this thing to learn a lesson? You're like, oh, is that cute? What are you teaching me? Making me a better person? It's like, just give me the fucking thing I want. Okay. And so I feel like I have diligently been on the quest over the last year. The quest that I heard for myself in this very same spot last year. And I diligently followed all for this year for them to go, nah, bitch, and knock over, it felt like playing just Jenga with a toddler. I was just like, oh no, we're not even going to finish this game. Y'all just going to come in and be like, psych. That's not what we're doing. And as infuriating as that is, there is a deep sense of relief and a deep sense of knowing that I had to go on the side quest to learn blank, blank, and blank and whatever and grow and blank, blank, and blah, 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 boring. Healing is hilarious. That I had to go through all those things to be able to be the person that can now bring this next thing forward. So I share all of that because if I had to guess, some version of that has been happening to you in your own life. There has been a crumbling of an identity, of a storyline, of something that has worked for you. And you thought that it was close. It may even have felt closer than the other things before. And it's been removed. And that's the most beautiful thing that I think that the divine does for us is it releases us from things that as humans is too painful for us to do, right? It's almost like the cosmic, natural disaster. Like it just comes in and it's like, nope, we're just going to get rid of that because you are not, like, you're ready for more or it's time for the next thing. And it's painful, but it felt like, of course, I recorded this 4-episode series of the Reinvention series, stating out these beautiful lessons. And then the divine was like, oh yeah, girl. So here's what I really want to get to today, because I thought that it's important to share that. Because I share what's going on with me to you so that you know I'm also doing the work, because there's nothing more annoying than everyone who's screaming at you that, like, here's the way to do it, and they're not fucking doing any of it. And the most important thing is this. It's the sentence that I keep hearing, that this is the nut of what I want us to crack today. What is it that you're really trying to say? What is it that you're, sorry, I'm outside and there's like a little chickmunk. Hi, chickmunk. Oh, went underground. Okay, sorry. Squirrel, literally, but a chickmunk. Okay. What is it that you're trying to say? What is it that you're trying to say? And maybe that is, maybe you are a creator or in this world like myself, or it's like, it is the actual question of the literal, like, what is it that you're trying to say? But it's bigger than that of like, what are you trying to do with this one and precious life, right? Like, what is it really? Is it more? Is it less? Is it honesty with those around you? Is it honesty in your relationships? Is it honesty about you desire more money? Is it honesty that the amount of money you have is enough? Is it like, where are these parts that you have been performing? We are being asked to release the performance and just step in fully. What is it that you're trying to say? What is it that you're really trying to say? And that is scary. You're right. Terrifying even. And I think the beautiful thing about these divine side quests, or I think the adventure that you and I are about to go on in our own individual ways, which is you can't mold something that doesn't exist yet, right? You can't clean up something that doesn't exist yet. You're going to have to do it messy. You're going to have to figure it out as you go along, because I'm so guilty of this that I build up this grand celebration of things that I'm going to do in my head. Like, all these people are going to come out with horns in the street being like, bah, da, 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 da. She solved it. Which that just tell you a little bit about me. But to some extent, we all have that. Meaning, like, you're going to have a lot of at-bats. We've talked about this so much on this podcast of, like, and how many places, throw a rock and you'll hit somebody on TikTok being like, start before you're ready. Do it scared. And I don't mean to just completely shit on that. But that's the reality. But it's, I have this shirt that I love wearing that says begin again. And that is what it is. There's this sense of gentleness that we need to bring to our practice. And there's this element of stillness. That's not slowing down. That's not being less productive. That's like, it actually has nothing to do with pace. It's more about an energy and a frequency that you're being asked to develop and be in. Like I personally, I've been called back to yoga, which is interesting. When I first started to heal a lot of these things for myself and was really doing a lot of that work through my body many years ago, like in 2018, yoga was like a huge part of my practice. And one of the things that I loved so much about it is it's so fucking hard when you're doing it correctly that you can't be anywhere but in the pose. And that to me, like if you can get my brain to shut off, like take all my money, you know what I mean? Like take all of me, I will give it to you. But it's also that it is a practice and that it doesn't matter. Like my worthiness doesn't change whether I nailed it or I couldn't find my balance in that pose. It's that every day you get to meet yourself on the mat. And that is really what this next version of ourselves, like what is it that you really want to say? And getting good at that, it's like the practice. My whole body is lit up, you guys. Oh, ooh. Like, I'm so glad. Also, I do these episodes barefoot so that I can like really ground to keep my feet on the ground because there's like so many messages and things that come through. And so that's exactly why I do it because my whole body was just like, electrified. But that is exactly what it is of like, this is a practice. Believing in yourself is a practice. Confidence is a practice. Capability is a practice. Your creativity is a practice. Your relationships, your communication. What is it that you really want to say? What is it that you really want to say? And it's going to take a while to get to a place that you know exactly what that is. Like, I think about it for me in relation to comedy, right? Like, people always ask, like, how do you come up with material for your jokes? Like, you know, and you have some small interaction, like, is this going to make it in your comedy skit? I'm like, probably not. But really what I do is I take a larger concept, something I want to talk about. Let's go something real light, gun control. And let's say there's something there that I want to talk about. It's going to take me a while to first figure out, like, what is my point of view on that thing? What is the subversive thing that I'm trying to say? And then it becomes like an equation. It's the comedy math to less words, less words, less words. What's the setup? What's the punch? What is it that you're really trying to say? And I feel that way so much in my relationships and the way that I show up, particularly right now, I'm experiencing it in my work of like, you have danced around it long enough. You've been doing this long enough. Like, what the fuck is it that you're really trying to say? Like, let's get some clarity. And then that becomes the repetition. Because I know for so many of us, the biggest, that self-sabotage, which we talk about all the time on the podcast, it's the stop and start. It's the I'll do it for a little bit. And of course, you know, everybody, and then it's like, it's because I have ADHD. And so it's the dopamine, and then the dopamine wears off, or I don't have high executive function, or like whatever your thing is that makes it easy for you to continue to be like, stop and start, stop and start. And I'm not negating any of those things because I experience every single one of them. I use them as an example, though. Eventually, our want to be fully expressed has to become greater than our subconscious need to bail. And I just love that this episode, I'm really excited for a year from now for us to come back to this place and be like, what did we leave? What did we do more of? And what was the true practice? Like, can you make living a life of ease a practice? And when I say ease, I don't mean easy. I don't mean, canning your own food and like, whatever, like all those things that we kind of like quickly associate with it. Also, there's nothing wrong with canning your own food, but just as an example, I think you can literally do exactly what it is that you're already doing, but how can we adjust it by 10? How can we can you infiltrate 10% more gentleness? Can you infiltrate 10% more stillness? Can you integrate 10% more honesty? Can you refine your systems by 10%? Because I think so much of like evolution and self-transformation, like there's this sense that like we're broken or something has to get fixed, or like once we're just over it, or once we have this thing, And then we become guilty of thinking that like one day we will have blank. And I think it's all a practice. I think that it's that seashell. I think that it is a constant state of growth. I think it's taking the side quest to like learn the lesson that you would have not learned by just going straight forward. I think it's having messy conversations and like not doing your best that teaches you how to do better. Like, I had this feeling, my TEDx talk is now live, The Lightning Method. Go and watch it. I will link it, but I'll brag all about that later. But one thing that I experienced was watching it back and immediately being like, this is not good. Oh my God, I would have done this different. I would have done this different. I would have done this better. And this thing was live all of 8 minutes. And I've decided I was an idiot. This could have been so much better. Nobody is going to like this. And I share that with you because that was my initial real raw reaction. And part of that is good, right? I'm really good at what I do and I want to continue to be better and better. And also it's going, that was the first time that you actually said exactly what it is that you wanted to say on stage. You didn't hide behind being funny. You didn't hide behind somebody else's words. You didn't hide behind the goal of what you wanted with this thing. You created something simply to be fully expressed. Awesome. So maybe if you've done that 16 times and you're not where you want to be, yeah, we can have a little bit more of a conversation, but can you let this just be a portal to what it is that you really want to do, where you really want to be, what is it that you really want to say? So I share again that specific for me because I know it's true for you. What are the things that you keep going back and being like, oh, it would be better if it was blank, or oh, if I would have done this, or oh, it's going to be messy. If I've learned anything over the last 3 weeks, it's like really excavating what you want is messy. It's not clean. You are sold a bag of beans by our society at large that gives you all of this perfection and all of these, a handful of women that have achieved it, whether through genetics or hating themselves enough to make it happen or believing, again, they're chasing that thing. And then you have like just all of these different everyone else that's out there and everybody else that you're seeing reflected back to you that's influencing you. And in some way it's making you feel bad, or it's continuing this idea that if I just get to this thing, then I will be. And it's like, but none of those stories are true either. All of those, and not taking away from like their power of like where they are. I don't mean to like shit on all those, but what I'm meaning to say with that, what is it that you're really trying to say, LaVorce? What I'm saying is that we can't allow ourselves to be so influenced by someone else's story that we can't authenticate. Yeah, authenticate. And we live in a society that is not designed for stillness. We live in a society that is not designed for truth. We live in a society that is not designed for heartfelt conversations. That's why we feel other. That's why we feel different. That's why we feel like the black sheep. That's why we feel like a late bloomer. That's why we feel like, that's why, words like intuition are still considered woo-woo. Like, what? So it's not you that got it wrong. And it's our responsibility now, not only for ourselves, but for the collective at large. It is time for us to figure out what is it that you really are trying to say. Because our best shot at shifting culture, our best shot at shifting the collective and progressing and healing is doing it on a personal level, because the collective is just the reflection of all of our experiences. And so it's not good or bad. It's just the reflection of like where we're at. And I don't like where we're at as a collective. And I'm going to guess if you're listening to this, you don't either. So it's time for us to be brave. And it's time for us to be willing to accept that when we're really doing the work, it's not clean. It's going to be messy. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to embarrass ourselves. We're going to feel bare. We're going to feel vulnerable. But we're going to be there with gentleness, and we're going to be there with stillness. And we're going to choose to see it as an adventure. And then we can all come back to the group and talk about it. That's all I got for you today. And even I feel like today's message is a little like messy and kind of all over the place. And I'm okay with that. I feel like that's the frequency that we're kind of all in right now, of like a little bit of like, all right, we've like, cord cut a bunch of stuff. We are, in personal levels, on a collective level, we're so aware of like what needs to change and what needs to shift and how messy it all is. And it is in this in between of like, all right, are we going back into the cave, or are we going out and we're going, this is what we're going to do. And this is how we see it. And I think there's no going back from here. So I love you so very much. And I love so much that you're trying and you're working hard and you're getting out there and you're trying new things and you're saying your truth. And it's so beautiful and it's so empowering. And I'm just so fucking excited for us. All right? Get out there. Tune out, tune in. Love you, mean it. Well, I don't know about you, but I sure as hell feel better. Thank you so much for tuning in to Healing is Hilarious. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your support helps me reach more listeners on their healing journeys. Ready to dive deeper? Check out my TEDx talk on YouTube. Just search Rachel LaForce TEDx for more insights and laughs. Until next time, tune out, tune in. Love you, mean it.